Welcome to Empower Your Pattern with President James Hendrick, member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, success, confidence, and thrive coach, and renowned adversity authority. He will teach you about the principles that help you overcome the adversity of everyday life, along with the patterns of success set forth in the Word of God. So come and join us on the adventure. Let's go. Yeehaw! This is the new feel of Empower Your Pattern. I'm Jimmy, but of course the official title of this podcast is Empower Your Pattern, and on YouTube it's Empower Your Pattern with President James, because I am President James Hendrick of the James Hendrick Empowerment, and what better time to start talking about something that we need to know. Now, I'm pre-recording some of this material because I will be on vacation in Utah. And I want to enjoy the pretty vistas and stuff like that. And don't want to necessarily have to do too much. Okay? So let's get ready. Let's get started. Let's have some fun. All right, now let's go. Success by association. And I think that, well, Jimmy, what does that mean? I've gotten some of the ideas from a book by Dr. Delatoro McNeil II. One of his premier books, Caught Between the Dream and the Job. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. Okay? And somehow, some way, while I'm on vacation, I may go to my WordPress site and I will find a way to put in my top 10 recommended success books, because in some ways they may have changed, because we all evolve and change in this success, and many of you know there's patterns. But anyway, I digress. Association. Who are we hanging out with? That's a reasonable question now. Come on. Some might say, but Jimmy, it's unreasonable. My best buddy, Joe Schmo across the street. Okay, alright, let me tell you something. You can hang out with him somewhat. You can love him and everything. But do you have the same ideals? Are you all in some ways going in the same direction? I don't know. But then again, being an empath, I'm not one to judge. I'm just saying. Some people, there's a variety of people. There's a few successful people that are introverts. I myself am a social butterfly. If there was another imposed self-isolation, I think it was just easy to curl up in a ball. Unless I had reinforcements somehow, some way. But we're not going to talk negative, okay? Let's talk positive. We need to be associating with positive people. That's one thing. Okay, I'm using this from two thought leaders that I have grown to know. Well, I don't know them personally, but I know their body of work. First and foremost, the coach, Presley Swaggerty. I'm on a few Zoom calls with him, and let me tell you something. When he coaches, people better listen. You associate with him, you're running with him, you better run to win. Alright? Okay, so now we know. But how can you find successful people to associate with? Why don't you start with a Toastmasters club? And if you're in the middle of Odessa area, I know just a place. I'm vice president of membership for Odessa Toastmasters, and we meet every Wednesday in the conference room of the Frost Bank building on the corner of 8th and Texas. Okay? We have to realize that. It can be tough. But we can learn to grow and appreciate one another if we're associating with the right people. If you're associating with reactives, how do you expect to win? You know, Joe Schmo down the street who keeps up with every negative thing that goes on in the neighborhood, every negative thing that goes on in the city. Let me tell you something. You can love them to death, okay? I do that as an empath. I love them to death. But at the same time, they're in reactive mode. I can only handle those in small doses. And you might say, well, Jimmy, why? Why? I think it's pretty obvious. In RP episode 53, I said this. It was a concept I got also from Presley Swaggerty. And he was talking about teams, but I think it also applies personally. You're either going and growing, or you're drying and dying. Or it's something I like to say, you're either going and growing, or you're drying, sighing, and dying. And sometimes even crying. But I digress, okay? I shouldn't say any more about this. But the point is this, okay? Please listen. You need to understand it is your decision who you want to associate with. Okay? Joe Schmo and Debbie Dubs may be cool across the street. But let me ask you something. How do you think that's been their days? Oh, they may have their jobs. Or maybe Joe Schmo sits around and, smokes a pipe. Now, I'm not going to judge anybody about this, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, you gotta see people's modus operandi to see if they're going to learn to win with you. Okay? Because these patterns, let me tell you something. These patterns are all joined together. You have to succeed. By associating with the best. And I think sometimes this is something else that Dan Clark says. The author of The Art of Significance. I love Dan Clark. Amazing speaker. He says this, and I believe it. We become the average of the 5 people we spend time with the most. And we pay any price, and we travel any distance we can to be there. And I can hear some people. But Jimmy, I don't have that kind of money. I can't afford it. Let me ask you something. Have you ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? One thing my granddad always taught me is where there's a will, there's a way. You can do anything you set your mind to. You want to know why he told me that? Well, I'll tell you once we get halfway through. I apologize. I didn't realize we're getting close to the halfway point, and I'm saving some of the best juice at the halfway point. Because my granddad was on my mama's side of the family. One thing he always told mama: always hang out with the right crowd. You start hanging out with degenerates, you're going to end up going down the wrong way. And that's why I call what I call the distracted, defiant, degenerate culture. You may say, why? I want you to look around you. Where are they going? Can I be honest with you? In circles. In circles. Because they have that one quality. Reactive. Reactionary. That's the one thing that is the devil's mark. And part of me being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Stephen Covey grew up and went into the church worldwide, where he lived in Salt Lake, and one of the first habits he taught is be proactive. And so in your association with people, you need to learn to be proactive. But Jimmy, what this is on the news? Please. Okay, please. I have a program for that. But that's not the purpose of Empower Your Pattern from its different variations. From Empower Your Pattern to Empower 360 to Empower Your Pattern 2.0 to Empower Your Pattern with James Hendrick. Because it's who you associate with. And sometimes that means a healthy relationship with yourself also. But to me that's crazy. No, it's not. I used to think it was. That it was. But in 2021, I developed my alter ego, JR. You heard him a couple episodes back. And there's times when mentally I'm too far gone because everything in the world around me is reactive. I can't find peace. That's when he takes over and makes some executive decisions. But that's dissociative disorder, Jimmy, isn't it? But Jimmy, come on, guys. Come on. I need you to be patient with me, okay? Why do you think I'm telling you about the success by association? Because it's obvious. It's obvious what's going on here, guys. It's very obvious. It's blatantly obvious to those that are willing to listen. There are patterns for success set forth by Jesus Christ. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and get into the Bible. And then I'll get back to my story, I promise. We still got plenty of time. And in John chapter 5, verse 15, Jesus said this: "Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servants knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known to you. Successful people hang out with successful people. You see, I was about 12 years old. My granddad hadn't formed his business yet. But he told me, he said, well, there's a will, there's a way. Why did he tell me that? 12 years old, bullied in school, given the label of slow learner, to some people, problem child. But my granddad was one of the few that was like, regarding the school district, ever since I was little, he's like, I'm not buying it. No, My firstborn grandson is not a slow learner. I'll help him learn. And he did. For Christmas, when I was 15, he and Grandma invested in a library card. And every weekend when I came to see them, they would take me to check out library books. And back then, I was always reading about the presidents and all kinds of interesting stuff. Because, growing up, and on up till I was 38 years old, I wanted to be the first blind president of the United States. But I learned. You still see it with the right people. And I thought I was on that path in college. But the three of them, one pseudonym that I had for one of them, Julie, I've been consulting with JR about that. I'm going to change her name to Karen. So it's Brad, Jim Bob, and Karen. They were good going meeting people. They did what they could. But Brad and Karen were the main ones that had a problem about me wanting to open up a networking business when I was engaged to my ex-wife. So, had to learn. The business flopped. My marriage ended. Eventually, little by little, God took those people out of my life for a purpose. And at first I thought it was going to hurt. The first one was Brad. And don't get me wrong, I loved Brad. I thought Brad was a pretty compassionate guy. But, him being analytical and stuff, no, he's the best person you want to go to when you have a problem. So it's kind of like, well, what do you mean? What do you do? What do you do? I think it's pretty obvious. Listen to me. Listen to me now. You get rid of the reactive ones. Well, the first one that actually went was Karen. She married off. That was the best decision she ever made for herself. I heard from her one last time in 2010. Some members of her family were living next door to us. And at first she was asking me to keep an eye out for her nephew. And then she sends me another message on Facebook saying, Jimmy, change that. My husband don't think it's a good idea. And I had to tell her, I said, look, it's back when I was living with my good friend, Father Michael. And I said, look, he and I don't mix with the neighbors all the time. We may make small talk, but we don't get into their lives. You know, we don't get into drama. It's kind of like rule number 4 when you're associating with people. Drama's out, peace is in. You don't want to associate with anybody who's going to cause you drama. Can I be honest with you? Late 2017, early 2018, associating with this drama in my personal life is what caused me to be puffed up with pride and end up with a broken leg. Getting around the heat of drama in my personal life in 2019 was what caused me to collapse and have a fractured skull. And so I created that rule with Empower Your Pattern. Rule number 4, which is drama is out, peace is in. Okay? And we may go through those 10 rules. Because it's about time. Drama causes pain. You don't want to associate with reactive people that cause pain in your spirit. Cause you to be scared. Cause you to look over in your shoulder. I already had that problem earlier this year. But part of the rules behind rule number 4, drama is out, peace is in, is no drama, no labels. Okay? No drama and no labels. Because that's what I want to do. I want to help people. Yeah, I come forward discussing sometimes is about my mental illness. But unlike some reactives that I've known, I don't consider it as a badge of honor. It's just something I struggle with. And that's why you need to associate with the right people. They're like, hey, drama, sorry, bite the dust. Gotta move on. And so you're trying to associate with somebody that you think you're doing some prospecting, say, for your networking business. And you know, say from Toastmasters or something. And you think that they're really sharp. And you know, you do what you can to try to consult with them. And they say, well, Jimmy, I'm sorry, I just don't got a lot of time. It's hard to know what to do. But many times, you know what Jesus said? Shake it off. So if Jesus says shake it off, that's what I say. I say shake it off. But Jimmy, isn't that a bit tough? Isn't that a bit tough? No. Listen to me, please. Listen to me. I'm doing the hard stuff now to prepare to enjoy Utah and share people about the truth I have. Okay? Next episode, we're going to be talking about pattern morning routine. Okay? We're going to be releasing that one. I'll probably release that the morning that I end up getting ready to leave for Utah. Okay? Because I want you to hear in audio format what I do, and I need to get back into the pattern. I've lost the thing with the pattern. It's kind of like, you know, well, what the heck? So listen to me. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 20 says this: he that walketh with wise men shall be wise. Don't you want to associate with the right people? Don't you want to be with the right people that want to help you, want to love you, want to strengthen you, want to help you grow? Yeah, it's not that easy. It's tough. Listen to me. I have a chance to put my trust in the Lord and know that He has this. One final note here for the last maybe 2.5 minutes. Guys, I love you. I really love you. That's why I give the advice I do. I mean, I care. I care about the audiences I reach. And I care about who is with me. Okay? So that's why I do what I do. Because I put my trust in God. And you should too. Regardless of what's going on. You've got to associate with the right people that can help you stop living in fear. Alright? Can we do that? Can we stop living in fear? Can we trust in our Lord and Savior enough to be who we are? There might be some tough moments in this podcast. There may be, I don't know if it's going to be in this series or not, but it's probably coming. And so, part of the prequel may be, let's meet in the study. But that's why I'm here. Because I care about you guys. I want you to learn. I want you to grow. I want you to evolve and stretch yourself. That's what my shows are about. Is to do that. We can't stay the same all the time because we don't grow. I hope you enjoyed listening to Empower Your Pattern. Until next time, please subscribe and become a part of the Pattern Realm. And don't just sit there and take it. Build your dreams so you can take it. Do what others don't so you can be what others want. And do what others won't so you can have what others can't. Choose, act, and pursue happiness. God bless you. Choose, act, and pursue happiness. God bless you. Remember this, from the bottom of my heart, Jenny loves you. I really, really, really love you.